tempted by an offer along the lines of bet $5, get $150 in free bets. If you have watched any sporting event in the past year or two, you have probably heard someone like Kevin Hart telling you something along those lines. While I am certainly not an expert in the field, I have been doing research on the effects that gambling or sports betting can have on different aspects of your life. This is a big topic for people, especially college students. Watching any sporting event results in being bombarded with predatory ads, and betting apps are available to anyone to use. If you talk to anyone about sports, there's a chance they bring up the topic of their 5-leg parlay they place that is guaranteed to happen. Something that used to be seen as shady and dangerous is now seen as something that can be done to be cool, fit in, or just make a boring football game a bit more exciting. Sports betting can be dangerous, and there needs to be regulations put in place to solve this issue. First, we will go over how sports betting can affect your mental and physical health. Then, we will go over the financial problems that can arise because of gambling. Finally, we will go over some of the legal issues that stem from sports betting or gambling in general. The first thing to look at is how sports gambling can negatively affect your physical and mental health. Let's focus on the mental health aspect first. Elizabeth Beach dives into this in her University of Rochester Medical Center article titled High Stakes, Higher Risks, Can Sports Betting Be Addictive? According to Beach, quote, although many people like to bet on sports for fun, you may wonder, can sports betting be addictive? Unfortunately, it can. 2 million U.S. adults meet the diagnosis criteria for problem gambling in a given year, end quote. We've all heard of gambling addiction, or addiction in general. Addiction can lead to many different mental health issues. Beach continues to say that, quote, gambling-related problems can cause anxiety, dread, and guilt, end quote. Gambling can also cause physical health problems. These problems are related to the mental health effects of gambling. Michael Marshall covers this in his article for the American Heart Association News, titled Sports Betting Has Changed. Could it affect your health? According to Marshall, quote, a 2023 study of Swedish gamblers found that problem gamblers had higher rates of cardiovascular and respiratory problems, as well as higher rates of diabetes than participants without a gambling disorder, end quote. Combine these physical issues with the mental issues that sports gambling can cause, and it all turns out to be a recipe for disaster. Now that we have gone over the mental and physical effects of sports betting, let's talk about the financial issues betting can result in. Sports gambling can and has led to a lot of financial issues for people. The first to bring up is how addiction can lead to debt. This can be seen in a lot of college students. Robert Strazo brings this up in his Center for Public Justice article titled A New Debt Epidemic, The Risky Wager of Online Sports Betting. According to Strazo, quote, the targeting of college youth who often have access to financial aid, which can be redirected to fund their addiction, has compounded the burden of college debt with gambling debts and the cost of addiction therapy, end quote. In other words, college students are prone to use funds that are meant for something else to fund their gambling. Sports gambling also can cause people to save less and spend more. Rob Weil writes about this in his NBC News article titled Sports Gambling Takes a Toll on Americans' Checkbooks, Research Shows. According to Weil, quote, in separate papers released this month, academics have found that households in states where gambling was legalized saw significantly reduced savings, as well as lower investments in assets like stock that are generally considered more financially sound, end quote. Overall, sports gambling can cause people to either spend money they do not have, or it can affect their ability to save. Now that we have gone over the financial effects of sports gambling, let's go over the legal issues that can arise. Sports gambling can lead to multiple different legal issues when left unchecked. One major penalty for sports gambling would come from gambling underage. According to Amber Bellio Taylor's article written for the Addiction Center titled Sports Betting Addiction, quote, moreover, sports betting is only legal for those over 21 and in certain states. While some states place a legal age at 18 for sports betting and gambling, underage gambling can result in heavy fines or even jail time, end quote. Sports betting apps are easily available and can be tempting to those who are not old enough to gamble. There is also the possibility of athletes betting on games that they participate in, resulting in them trying to alter the game or to get their bet. This happened this summer. In July of 2024, it came out that some Iowa State and Iowa University athletes were gambling on games they had participated in, not to mention many of them were underage. Paul Levine and Adam Rittenberg go over this in their ESPN article titled Inside the Historic Iowa Athlete Sports Betting Prosecution. They state, quote, at least 35 athletes and support staff from Iowa and Iowa State, including football, baseball, and basketball players, as well as wrestlers, notably several from Iowa's highly ranked team, were charged criminally and or lost all or part of their NCAA eligibility based on information from last year, end quote. This also happened in the NBA. Former NBA player Jonte Porter was banned from the league in April due to point shaving to let others get their own bets. Jennifer Peltz goes over this in her Associated Press article titled, Banned NBA player Jonte Porter will be charged in betting case, court papers indicate. According to Peltz, quote, an NBA investigation found in April that Porter tipped off bettors about his health and then claimed illness to exit at least one game, creating wins for anyone who bet on him to underperform expectations. Porter also gambled on NBA games in which he didn't play, once betting against his own team, the league said, end quote. On the other side of the argument, those in favor of sports betting argue that it can make an otherwise non-exciting game into an exciting one. I've also seen the argument that it can be something to take your mind off of whatever troubles you. Although I understand these arguments, I disagree with them. If you need gambling to ignite excitement for a game, then you're probably just not that interested. Things such as exercise can also be used as a good way to take your mind off things instead of gambling. In conclusion, sports gambling is dangerous and can lead to things such as mental and physical health problems, financial issues, and legal punishments. Sports gambling is dangerous and there needs to be regulations put in place around it. At this point, sports betting is here to stay. However, there are some solutions to the problem, such as not advertising betting or gambling in commercials, similar to how advertising for cigarettes is handled. There is also the possibility of providing ID verification on betting apps or making it so bettors must go to a sportsbook location instead of using an app to bet. So what can we do to get involved? I think just educate yourself and then just make the decision not to get involved with gambling. While I would never advocate for gambling or sports betting, I do think with some rules in place, things can be better than they are. And to represent the sports aspect of this whole speech, I have this BYU hat here to represent my favorite college team. So yeah,